What's up? Sorry, I would not actually hit someone.
I would be that one person who
So.
They're actually watching now into the world. Hello, world.
is on YouTube.
Yes. I'm pulling up this page.
Wait, how do you stop this?
How do I stop it? This train never stops. We just have to wait for this to load, and we have a link. That's it.
Yeah, but like when they want to leave, like, I'm not gonna leave.
Oh, there's a button. Right here. I'll just tell whoever wants to. Professor Peters that there's a little right here. It has a stop button.
Yeah.
Something box. Yeah, and so that no way. The company and the family was pulled the money back.
So 000 was not the same in the.
Okay, then on this. And then to the right,
my previous life was working for construction. I'm doing
yeah.
work, actually building the first headquarters of 50 we founded it.
So you were building the construction company, so
The Hearst.
the Hearst is it, okay. So that was like, wow, everybody must have.
The communication or Hearst.
Yeah, Hearst is great.
I'm doing their headquarters confirmed.
Google manual.
On the circle.
Oh, there was some code. Oh. Oh. Okay. Yeah. Hey, welcome. Take that. Good people to work. Hi, Amanda, how are you?
How's it going?
Yeah, it is.
He's a good guy. Totally not.
Oh,
That's not like him.
yeah.
Aside from the map.
But he is.
No, and it's, not too bad. There's a fire hose.
Yeah. Everything's always like that.
I know.
The summer where it's really cold, but you're planning plants.
Yeah.
Sorry?
No, she said she's coming out. She said she's coming out.
Yeah.
Just comes up and like a couple of weeks into looking up there, she's busy up there.
Has he worked with it?
Yeah, it's also exhilarating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's, it's not that bad.
Are you?
So I think you like from the yeah. So, do you
Over here.
yeah, and yeah. It's like,
We have to talk about this.
so it's really,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, something I need to figure out. And then I discovered the express bus, and I'm like, I'm not.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Good.
Better than.
Oh, yeah, I'm driving. Yeah.
that's what, yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a rhythm. I think people are coming in for Thursday.
When we're done with that.
COVID.
Stop the live stream. I'll show you now. It's really easy to stop the live stream. Once you're on here, it's going to stay like this. There's 3 buttons. It says stop live stream. That's it. That's it. You're all good to go. So I already tested that out on YouTube and it's there. So yeah, nothing more you have to do. Do it as organically good and good to go. Awesome. Yeah, should be great. Thank you. I let you have some photography. That's pretty cool. So I think that's probably not your name or something. I think so. You can add that to the page.
I got like other way off of that.
This is all part of the running gag, by the way. I can't.
Besides that, it's like,
All right.
yeah.
I don't know.
But like, it's all those things like, I'm sure it's like, I don't even know what it's like.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I.
Oh yeah, do we want to be like looking like we're doing something? Yeah.
Okay, one day I probably, I know.
That's great, yeah. We look very productive.
I know, I'm actually not good.
Yeah, this is great. This faux conversation.
And then we just start ramping it around like eventually we're on the Manhattan Cable. That's all we're trying to do at the end of the day.
Exactly. So is one of these laptops a camera or what is it?
Yeah, I did right over there. So
Okay.
that's flashing camera.
Oh, that's it. Okay,
It's
good.
streaming straight to YouTube right now. So
Oh, hello.
we're live. Yeah. Don't say anything that you wouldn't say. Yeah.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, we should be explaining what we're
Hold on, you guys. Thank you.
So, but once it stops, it even saves the recording.
No, so I actually, I'm having a lot of work. So what you mean? No, once I like participated in class and I was like, I like random nothing myself.
Challenge?
Oh, that's
Right. Okay, yeah. Any level of enjoying with other people.
No, I'll be here for 20 minutes. But I said it was
But you like the idea.
I'm gonna go back to the script.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Single motorcycle. Wow. That's cool. And then that was an attractive.
He told me the one day I'm not gonna. Yesterday, like.
No, you're like.
Okay, I all 4 years, I've never won.
It is a special personality. Are you a business student or?
Good luck.
Yeah. Usually have several engineers involved, so get the word out over there. You interested in the innovation challenge?
Yes, sir.
I'm
Oh, yeah. It's you again.
Sorry? Yeah. That's your area. This is part of the entrepreneur and entrepreneurship. Information about how to do it. Could I just do it? What's that? Oh, this? Yeah. Oh, probably. Yeah.
Right.
Worthy of honor. Are you guys interested in starting a business? Sorry. Yeah, no, we are. Oh, cool. Good. Business students or? Cool. We'd like to get you all together if possible, so I'm glad you've already crossed the divide. Yeah. What's the, do you have an idea or you're working? I'm working. Okay. Hey, welcome. Yeah. You're the business student. You're in electrical or? I'm a civil. Civil, yeah. Good. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Oh, okay. So she's not gonna be here for a while.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. And, we are on to the Taylor. Okay. That I did not typically. Yeah. All right. All right, let's get started. Welcome, everyone. I'm glad you're here. This is launch of the Innovation Challenge for this year. This is Manhattan College's business plan competition, sponsored by the O'Malley School of Business, but inviting everybody. I think we're in our 9th one. I may have lost count, but I think we're in our 9th one. We have had terrific competitions. The last 2 have been virtual. Some of you are participants in those. Welcome back. But prior to that, it was live, and this year we will, if all goes well, be in person and then live streaming it out to as many people as we possibly can. So the idea is, this is a great place for you to develop your entrepreneurial ideas. It's a great place for you to meet other people who are working in entrepreneurship. It's a great way to meet people from across campus. And it's a process. So all of you can do this, okay? In 1980, a guy named Mike Kelly was sitting in a class like this. Were you in this room, Mike, at all?
So this wasn't extended like this, I don't recall.
Okay, it might have been slightly different looking. Mike developed a company called On Call International. It was on Inc.'s, 5,000 fastest growing companies for like 5 years in a row. And then sold that company, Travel Risk Insurance, I guess we call it, and a successful entrepreneur out of Manhattan College. And we have many of our alumni have founded companies, have been entrepreneurs. We have terrific alumni base in that area. And what that means is, not only do you have examples, so you can do this, it also means you have a lot of potential for mentoring, and you have a lot of knowledge base for entrepreneurship. And that's a way that, if you start working on your business, we have people who can help you. We can help you in intellectual property, we can help you in budgeting, finance, economics professor. We can help you in marketing. There's a variety of accounting. There's a variety of ways that we can help you think about your business. Okay, so lots of opportunity. This is the competition's in March. So the reason we kick it off in September is to attract attention, get you starting to think about it, because it takes a while to develop a business, so that by March you are a contender. And something we did last year was the top 3 winning teams of our Innovation Challenge competed against Fordham University in their Battle of the Bronx. So that was a terrific addition. 2 out of the top 3 spots at that competition with the Manhattan College students. So this could be the beginning of something. I want to introduce, so this is Innovation Challenge is the business plan competition. We have had an exciting opportunity to expand the program to entrepreneurs at MC, meaning that the competition is one among many things we're doing this year in this area. And I'd like to introduce Winston Peters, who's coordinating the competition, and entrepreneurs at MC to talk about his background. He's a 2002 grad in civil engineering, and gone on to be an entrepreneur in his own right, consulting businesses in terms of branding, marketing, right areas. So, Winston, you introduce yourself.
Thank you. My name is Winston Peters, class of 02, civil engineering major here at the college. And this room didn't look like this when I was here. So not to make you feel bad. It wasn't like this when I was a student.
We did it a couple of years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, being a civil engineering student, I really was up here at main campus. Majority of my classes were in Leo or LLC, but I always had this business mind. I always wanted to do more. I graduated from Manhattan in 02. Started working for Turner Construction, and after a few years, worked for Turner Construction, worked for Mountain Turning, I decided to start my own business consultancy, actually building business and building brands in different verticals, working with Fortune 500 companies as well as startups. And understanding that in the startup space, a lot of people have good ideas, good products, but how do you make that product, how do you make that good idea into a business? And that was really where my sweet spot was, really helping individuals, the startups, the founders that I was working with, making their ideas, making their products into an actual business. And again, here at Entrepreneus MC, again, we're looking to move entrepreneurship forward here at Manhattan College as well as Hancock and beyond. Again, this program is an integrated program, again, mixing integrated academics as well as experiential learning to help foster a more entrepreneurial mindset for the students. Understanding that some of you might want to have your own startup, some of you might want to learn more about entrepreneurship, some of you might just want to work for a startup. This program is for you in that regard. And one of the things that we're doing is, again, the Innovation Challenge, helping you mix all of those three together. Just to give you a little bit more background about this new initiative, Entrepreneus MC, some of our key elements of the program. Again, talking about the Innovation Challenge, which we're going to dive a little bit deeper into today, the business plan competition. We're also going to have workshops to help you learn more about entrepreneurship, help you understand how to market your startup, how to make your idea into a business, what does financing look like? How do you budget for your startup? There are different ways of actually getting funding. A lot of entrepreneurial labs, a lot of entrepreneurial programs, they tell you how to help you learn how to build your idea, build your business, but they don't take the next step further. How do you fund your business? How do you actually get investment? And what does that actually look like? So some of our workshops will be discussing that in our startup bootcamp, which will happen in next semester, like giving you an A to Z of entrepreneurship in a one-day session. We'll also have some notable speakers coming in just to give advice, give their experience of how they built their business as well. And something I'm excited about as well is our weekly chats, these entrepreneurial chats, just to learn what's going on in the market today. We'll start them next week. Sit down, let's just talk about what problems you're facing in the startup space when you're building your ideas, and what's going on in the world in the startup space. I have a question for the students. Everyone here. Who think that these brands are all the same? Who think these brands are different? Okay. I mean, why do you think they're different?
They all have different purpose and what topics or services they want to emphasize their target consumers.
Okay. Well, are they the same or are they different?
They're all different industries, so obviously the business model is different for each.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, they all sell different things, but at the end of the day, they're all different profits.
Okay. True. That's a good point. What if I told you all of these businesses are exactly the same? No one believes it. But like, what is a business when you really think about it in its empirical form? When you strip everything down, you strip down the industries. Again, Supreme is very similar to Title. Title is very similar to Tesla. Tesla is very similar to Kip, and Kip is very similar to Xbox. But when you strip down a business, and this is important because when you're thinking about your ideas, when you're building your ideas into an actual business, here's what the most powerful form of a business actually is. If you strip it down into its most powerful form. Create value or solve a problem. All of these brands do that. For someone else, not themselves. At a price that the customer is willing to pay. That and those products, they meet or exceed the expectations of the customer, and then it's delivered and fulfilled in such a way where you make a profit. That's a business in its most powerful form. That's a startup in its most powerful form. So all these businesses are essentially the same because they're all following the same 5 principles to actually be a business. And it's something that's even more important that every business is the same, and that every business have very similar modules that make the business. Something that we'll discuss later on during the semester, some advice, like how do you really build your business? How do you get from a product to an idea? And this is really understanding, these are all the moving parts of a business, really understanding, okay, your value proposition. That's the value proposition. Also understanding what is the product that you're actually going to looking to develop. Your value proposition, how are you going to be unique? How are you going, what are the channels you need to deliver value to those customer segments? And then how are you going to retain those customers in your customer relationships? And key resources, what are the resources that you need to help you deliver value through these channels to these customers? And understanding who are the key partners that you might need to help deliver value through these channels to these customers. And what does the revenue structure of that looks like? What does the cost structure look like? These are the fundamental properties of a business, which later on in the semester, as you're working on the projects for the innovation challenge, that we're going to dive deeper into to help you really understand what a business actually is. Talk more about the innovation challenge. The people who are thinking about being entrepreneurs, thinking about building their idea to a business, or people who just want to be a part of a startup team. Again, this program is for you, as Dean Gibson has mentioned earlier. This is open up to the whole school. There's up to $10,000 in prize money awarded to the winners of the competition. So this is a great opportunity for you all just to, this is your first step into really building your ideas and see if it actually works. This is a great testing ground for your startup ideas through the innovation challenge. The innovation challenge is open to all students. Again, this is a place where you develop your ideas. So this is an opportunity to collaborate with other students. This is a great opportunity to build your network. It isn't just maybe the engineering students might want to collaborate with the marketing students, with the business school students. Maybe the computer science students want to work with engineering students. This is a great way to collaborate with other students as well. Again, the workshops, some of the workshops we have will be some amazing speakers coming in to speak as well. Now, what I want to know is pass it over to one of the students who were in the innovation challenge before, just to talk about their experience building their startups and competing as well. Sweet. You can stand.
Hey, my name is Luna Dassi. I am a senior, I'm a marketing major, and I do social media for schools, and I'm a vice president of the Entrepreneus Club, where I work with recruiters. And Caroline and Joe, they are also on Entrepreneus Club. Last year, I did the innovation challenge, and Caroline and I were actually on the same team. We created a small business plan of this business name Parent, which was optimized on optimized data for small businesses, and then that would contribute to them being able to apply this data to other consumers and businesses in their industry. And it really was like an enriching experience for me because working with Caroline, like I learned so much, and just being able to like present like our ideas, like it was just like nice because like in class and like during like COVID, like you're not really like able to like work on like your presentation skills, and like it helped me like think like publicly like better, and that was like really great like experience that I learned from that. And also like you just really get to meet like so many other like people, and like I really enjoyed that. We played second like during the challenge, and we moved on to the first annual like Battle of the Bronx like with Fordham, and we also played second in that. And a lot of the board for the challenges like reached out to us and like wanted to help us. Like everybody wants to help you, and like you just are able to meet so many like other people that just want to help. It's just a great experience like overall, and I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Very well. couple of really good choices. Now, being a part of this program, being part of the Innovation Challenge, how you're able to learn other skills that you might not have worked on before in your other classes, like your public speaking, just understanding business, like vetting an idea. These are skill sets, whether you want to be an entrepreneur or not, that are valuable within your professional career. And that's something one person I'd like to bring out today is Caroline. We definitely want to hear about your experience in the Innovation Challenge.
Yeah, so I did it, I'm a senior now, I did it my freshman year and my junior year. Freshman year, I got third. Junior year with Celine, I got second, we got second.
Not that we're
And-
focusing on the outcomes.
But, and then, so this year, hopefully, first place, if we can come up with something good. And what I really like about it is it's not exclusive to the business school. So freshman year, we worked with people in communications and engineering, which is great because you're exposed to more professors and more people on campus and you're learning a lot more. And what I also really like is how collaborative it is and how open-ended it is. Yeah, there's workshops you can go to with people that will help you along, but you really have to be a self-starter and work on your own timeline so you're not like scrambling last minute. Oh, and then it's also important to note that at the Battle of the Bronx, Manhattan won first and second, and Portland got first. So,
And how's your business going?
oh, it's going great. So
Yeah,
for work,
this is a real business here. Yeah.
so for work, what I do is I do a lot of social media and marketing and graphic design and stuff for people, which has been fun, and I've learned a lot because it's freelance and a bunch of different projects. But a lot of it's in like fashion and wholesale apparel and stuff like that. So what I've been able to do is I love pajamas. This isn't mine, but I'm starting a pajama company, and it's all just like pajamas you can wear in real life, and they're cute, but they're like comfy. And what's been great is I've worked on all different steps of the manufacturing process with all these different people over the years, and really everyone just wants to help you. So it's been easy to like get production lines and go to like manufacturers and get products and stuff done. So.
And as a parent still, are you operating that as a sort of sole proprietorship or?
We're realizing that there's so many companies that do it bigger and
that
better than
space.
like 3
Okay.
girls in college, but we learned a lot and it's been great to take those insights into everything. we do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you didn't talk about the cross-country meet. That you
Oh,
was,
yeah.
social media person.
Yeah, she's back.
I back up.
Am I back? Okay, so, and then also the Innovation Challenge connected me with Mike Kelly, which connected me to the Manhattan Cross Country Invitational, which if you're a high school student, which you're all not, you could run at the biggest one-day meet of the high school cross country calendar. So with them, I've learned a lot of doing press releases and outreach with different coaches and groups and managing email lists and website edits, and it's been really fun. And it's been fun to be a part of something that's so close to the school that I didn't really know about before.
It's a paying gig.
It's a paying gig.
Good. All right.
Again, it's something about entrepreneurship that is invaluable is the people that you meet along the way. You'll never know who you will engage with, how they can be of value to you as well as you can be of value to them. So it isn't just about building your startup idea, but okay, understand the type of relationship that you have and where they can actually take you within your professional career as well. So, again, some of the, as I spoke about before, we'll definitely be having different workshops to empower you during the process of the Innovation Challenge. And here are some of the, one of the first workshops that we'll be having is developing your idea into a business. Our guest speaker will be Mel Peralta, who is the Senior Director of Project Greenhouse. Project Greenhouse is Foot Locker's incubator program. So having incubator program, so for him, what he does at Project Greenhouse is actually help build smaller startups that are part of Foot Locker's portfolio. So this would be a great guest speaker just to understand about how to develop your idea and build it into a business. He has also, excuse me, built his own business that he has sold in the early 2000s. He created a watch company and sold it for 10 figures as well. So it's a great insight. Building a company from scratch is different from building another company within a corporation. So he'll be able to provide you that insight from both sides as well. And then in November, we'll be having another guest speaker, Jason Brown, who is the CMO of Network. Has anyone heard of Network before? No. Okay. Network is essentially the QVC for Gen Z. It is a very interesting platform where you buy everything just off of the app. He is now the CMO of this company. He just got a $50 million investment from I forget the company off the top of my head. So they just got a $50 million investment for the company. So again, he is going to be here sharing his insights of building this startup who's only been around for 2 years to everyone here. Like again, how do you build a startup, and how do you make it grow into a multi-million-dollar company? And what does marketing look like for just an online platform? Depending on what your ideas are, whether it's an app, whether it is an actual platform, great insights from this gentleman, Jason Brown. And then in December, we also will be having another budgeting your idea. Aileen Fairley, like again, one of the most important things in the business is how do you finance it? What are your costs? What are your expenses? And what does your burn rate actually look like? The workshop in December will be sharing all of the details that you need to know to actually build your business for the innovation challenge as well. Some important dates to think about if you're looking to enter the challenge. Registration opens up November 2nd online. You can find it on the Innovation Challenge page on Manhattan.edu. The pitch presentation. So once you register your idea, now the pitch presentation is actually a more developed idea of how you're going to present a more fuller idea of your business. And that's due in February of next year, February 8th, 2022. The application deadline is February 16th. Semi-final, again, now you'll be developing your idea. Now, what does that idea look like? Again, even more full idea, similar to the business model canvas that I showed you earlier. But what are all of the moving parts of your business? What does your customer look like? How are you planning to market? What does your cost structure look like? What does your revenue structure look like? Get a more fuller detail of the idea.
And for the pitch presentation, that's really a coaching session, like try things out, see how it goes. That's very open, with a lot of coaching going on there. By the time we get to the semifinals, we want to see who's going to actually be in the competition. So those are the ones where you try to be as close as possible to how you're going to present it. The final presentations are 6 minutes long. So it's very much getting your argument honed and your graphics right there, so you're really able to show it off. And students have had terrific presentations. We can show you some examples at some point.
Thank you. And then also concluding with the innovation challenges we're having in March of next year, March 29th to Tuesday. So we actually get to present your ideas to your peers, to the other groups, as well as to the school. We definitely be live streaming it as well. Hopefully, all things work out. It will be in person again next year. And how? Okay, sorry, I'm blocking you.
No,
Okay.
you just get your dates. That's all.
Okay, presenting your idea and then again being judges, having feedback. It's a great opportunity just to hone in your skills, to learn more about entrepreneurship, and just to see how well your idea stacks against the other student startups as well. That's something. Sorry. Something I do want to share with you is I definitely want some insights from some of the previous mentors that we had. One being Mike Kelly. Share your experience.
Sure. Thank you all for coming. I'm really surprised. We're here. That's great.
What? To see you?
Yeah, yeah. And it's nice to finally meet Caroline. We've been talking like 4 or 5 times a week for about 5 months now, working on the cross country meet. You know, mentoring, I think, is actually easier for you than you think it is. I think that if you talk to people that are in your life, you'll find there are other people who give you advice. So I currently mentor 4 or 5 Manhattan College students that I met through the Innovation Challenge. One fellow is named Laurent Span. He graduated. He's at Aon right now in their wealth management practice, but he's worked on half a dozen startups, and he'll call me and we'll spend half an hour on it. And what are you doing? What are your, sources and uses and all the kind of things that you probably learned here about these companies. So my suggestion on mentoring is there's a lot of people in your life, if you look around, you may be able to get help from. Certainly your professors, but also, even, God forbid, your parents could probably give you some advice if they could step out of their parenting role for a moment. So as we go along in this process, I'll be happy to, talk to anybody who has an idea they're working on. I really, I'm so excited about this program that Dean and Professor Peters have put together. I think there's a lot of opportunity in the marketplace for kids who go to Manhattan College for this. So that's really all I have on that. Thank you.
Why did you become an entrepreneur, Mike?
I kept on getting fired, so it was easier to go work for myself. No, what happened to me was my background was I got out of college and I actually worked at Procter and Gamble for a couple of years in my entry level job was running free sampling campaigns. Then I went to American Express, where I was in the traveler's checks division, and I walked down the hall, and there was a guy I went to Manhattan College with, and his name is Steve Squeary.
Yeah.
So he is now the chairman and CEO of American Express. And I felt that I needed to be in a place where I could have more say in my life. So what ended up happening to me, I left American Express. I went to run a company that provided medical and travel services for people that were expatriates or business people. So you get sent to Indonesia to run a plant for Dow Chemical. You go with your family and you get sick or injured or your children have a problem. You need resources. You need doctors and nurses. And how do I get? So I worked there for a couple of years, and then I went and I started my own company. And the way I started that company, because I grew up, my dad was a federal employee, is I used 7 credit cards, which I turned every month to fund my business. So I had no resources. So there's a lot of ways to do this. And I went bankrupt almost twice. So, there's a lot of great stories. It's a hard line of work, but for me, it was exactly what I needed. So, I would encourage you all to really think about it. It's not an easy life. I remember my wife said to me, well, you have so many problems at work. I wish you would really talk to me about them at work, because it's stressful for me. So it's hard for your family around you that, you're running a business that could be going out of business in 30 days. But I can tell you, the happiest day of my life was the day I sold my business, and the saddest day of my life was the day I sold my business. Because, it is so much fun running your own business. And when you have a couple of hundred people that depend on you, that's a lot of stress, but boy, it's a ton of fun. And we grew our company to be when I sold it, we were 80 million. and 180 employees with 4 offices around the world. So, but think about it every day. I still talk to the people who used to work for me, and it was fun. But I just got involved in another startup. I can't let it go. So, if you want hard work and enthusiasm and excitement, that's what the life of the entrepreneur is. My son will tell you that he never saw me without a cell phone for his whole childhood. Because it was a 24-hour business. Not great, but they know, my children know that I love my job. And I don't know if I'm sure Steve Sperry loves his job at American Express. I'm sure he does. But for me, this was the right solution. So you really have to find out what's right.
With that, Mike, I have a question for you. Because you were part of the corporate public world, you started their own venture, their own startup, or business. Now, my question to you is, some students here, some students here, some conversation that I've had is, some of them want to work a corporate job and then do a startup. Some of them want to just go straight into startup because it's safer going to corporate startup. Can you share your ideas on risk?
Well, Carolyn and I have talked a little bit about this. So do you go, you're an accounting background, so do you go do public accounting for a while to learn, what it's like in these businesses? And Ted Turner, who's a guy who started CNN, and he wrote a book, and I read it a long time ago. His best advice to people was, go to a business that you think you're interested in, learn on somebody else's money. So that's what I did. I went to run a company business I was in. It's called the assistance business. It's really a European term. And I ran a company in Philly and for 3 years, and then I left to go do the startup. So I learned on somebody else's money. But there is another myth that all entrepreneurs are like 21 years old, but the statistics it's not accurate. The average entrepreneur is about 35. So,
Is that when they start, or is that like that's what it is right now?
well, I mean, when you do a startup, that's when you would jump, right? You jump over, you'd be the entrepreneur.
Okay.
So it's just a lot of times it's fine. My brother has a startup. It was a startup. It's a $100 million company. His story is easy. He was working as a sales guy for an injected mold company. They make milk crates and bread racks and that kind of stuff. It's about 20 years ago, and a guy came in and said, I want to build a plastic rack for bottled water. And the owner of the company said, who's drinking bottled water? So those big all 5 gallons up. So my brother went and rode on a delivery truck with the bottled water guy. And the guy reached up in the truck and his arms were all scarred. My brother said, oh, how did you get that? He goes, oh, the metal racks on these trucks strip the skin away. And he said, well, how many days a year do you lose for work? He goes, I don't know, like maybe 10, 12 days a year. My brother went to human resources at Dannon, who's the prospect, and said, hey, if I could save you 10 days times 400 delivery people, would you be interested? And they gave him a $250,000 deposit to go buy a mold and start the company. So, and that's not an exciting business. You talk to my brother who loves his plastics business, like after a while, I'm like, okay. But so it doesn't have to be that tech company, and he probably makes about $15 million a year making milk crates.
Yeah, you gotta find the niche, right?
Yeah, and that is the number at the end of the business. 15 million. So there's a lot of businesses that are not so sexy. My father-in-law inherited a business, an office cleaning, the window cleaning business in Trenton. He turned it into a very large office cleaning business. So if your parents have a business, don't run away from it. Could be something there.
Yeah. Already talked to one who has a business that comes from a family with a business. That's a pretty big determinant of people going into entrepreneurship. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you for that, Mike. Because again, it's important just to realize that being an entrepreneur doesn't mean that you actually have to have an app. It doesn't mean that you have to have a digital platform. You can actually have a service business and be an entrepreneur as well. What tech does for you just helps you scale a little bit faster. So what I want to just to reiterate is that all entrepreneurs aren't Steve Jobs or the founder of Facebook. Some of these people have cleaning companies. Some of these people are into plastics. Some of these people are make beverages. These are entrepreneurs as well. And another mentor that I would like to bring up is Professor Sarah
San Severino.
Severino. Yeah.
I didn't introduce myself. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Professor San Severino. I'm happy to see some familiar faces, and I appreciate everyone showing up for this. I mean, it's a really, really great opportunity from, teaching here just 1 year. It's extremely evident to me how creative and innovative students are. And something like this, the challenge, and then, more broadly, this initiative, this Entrepreneus at MC initiative, is a place where, you can reach that, you can use to basically reach that potential that you have. And the fact that you showed up here today shows that, you're probably among the students who have that entrepreneurial bug, or, at least want to, start seeing what that's like. And I commend all of you on that. I think it's great. So I'm a faculty mentor for this challenge. And basically my specialty is accounting. So, when it comes to budgeting, so basically the first thing is you're going to work on developing an idea, right? And Winston said, right, you want something that's going to create value, solve a problem. And ultimately, that's going to come from within you, working with your team, your creativity. But then ultimately, there's a point where you need to get more practical. How am I actually going to get money to fund this thing? And one of the things I talked about last year in the budgeting workshop, which is also taking place this year in December, is, basically what are the sources of funding, right? Just an overview. And, how do you go about that whole process? And so I just want to sort of let you know that I'm here to help you out with any of that. And even if you want to ask me questions that's not about budgeting or accounting at all, I'm happy to I'm not an entrepreneur. Although some of what Mike Kelly was saying did resonate with me, because the reason I moved from industry to academia was because I wanted more control of my life. And, there are certain avenues that you can take that do permit some more freedom. The entrepreneurial lifestyle, though, I imagine, at least I don't have direct experience, but it's really intense. But for anyone who has that will and who I'm imagining here today, I'm sure it's going to be very rewarding. So I do like to talk to students about, anything, any subject outside of accounting as well. My door is open. I'm on the 4th floor of the LSL. And my email address you can find anywhere on the website. So I'm happy to talk. Last year, I had students come to me not only for budgeting questions, but just in general. I had students come to me for marketing questions, and I was happy to provide input. It's something that I enjoy doing. Actually, I worked a lot with one student, Kelly, who was in the iAdapt.
That's right. I adapt. Yeah.
And they did quite well. So yeah.
Describe what their product was.
Yeah, so from what I recall, basically their product was helping people with limb disorders, right? Who didn't have limbs.
We lost the
Work with,
Yeah, right.
yeah, work with basically bicycles or
Yeah,
other.
so flexible, limb attachment. Yeah,
Yeah, and she worked with engineering
right.
students. So
Right.
I think she was the only business student on the team. And she was telling me actually it was really interesting working with them, because you get used to your bubble of who you talk to, day to day in classes. And she said it was actually really cool to talk to people who had a different perspective. And they were happy to have her, I think, because, she was the one who brought that business. And those business insights, basically. But yeah, I mean, if anyone has any questions, I'm here to answer them, but otherwise, the main thing I wanted to express is that you can, come to me with any questions that you have, and also that we're really glad that you're here, and that, I envision you're going to get a lot out of this whole process during this semester right now. Yeah, Amit.
I have a question. In terms of your experience working on budgeting, do you see good business ideas that require minimal budgets, like something maybe on the cloud or something that doesn't require a lot of upfront costs? And how well do those do compared to other ones that require a lot of investment upfront?
I can't answer your second question because I don't have the expertise
Okay.
of basically looking at a bunch of businesses across the board. Maybe Mike has better insight, or Winston, right? And seeing, okay, those that started with a minimal budget, what happened ultimately compared to those that started with a big budget. But, I will say anecdotally that there definitely are success stories. For sure, if it's something like an app or cloud-based, you're gonna have less of a budget. And, maybe the answer for a lot of people who are sort of just working with a limited budget to begin with, which I imagine pretty much everyone, I mean, I would definitely be working with a limited budget to begin with, you're still in school, would be to maybe start small and expand later as you go. And maybe that's even good advice for someone who has a larger budget, right? Just because you sort of test things out.
Just to add on to what Mercer is saying is, it depends on what your product is. Because sometimes thinking minimum budget is setting yourself up for failure. Sometimes you actually do need a big budget for success, depending on what you are trying to achieve. So it all depends on what you're trying to achieve. Sometimes you need, maybe $10,000, and sometimes you might need $100,000. But it all depends on what you're trying to achieve. Whether if you are even using a cloud-based service, because again, some cloud-based services, they do add up on whatever your product, whatever your business actually is. And something to add on as well. Sometimes yes, start small, but actually understand what the big vision actually is. Like I'm a believer of understanding what the Ferrari is, and then you can scale back to a camera.
And I just add too, good ideas attract money. I mean, if you really got something, you believe in it, and you can convince others, if life goes well, to contribute to that. So I wouldn't start with what the budget is. The other part of apps, cloud, etc., not only is it actually more costly than you think, but the competition is fierce because there's low barriers to entry, right? So yeah, that question's hard. I would start with more what value am I resolving, and a question that you're going to get during this competition, which is what's your business model, right? Can you convince me that you can create this product for a cost that will cause you to be able to charge a price to someone that they're willing to pay, right? That's the business model. Like, do I see that there's a gap between the money you can bring in and the cost of this product? Okay, I see that. I could see somebody wants that. I would want that, right? That's the key. So I guess I'd start there and then figure out the money side, but obviously your budgeting is going to be a key part of this.
Yeah, it's always good. for me, when I'm working with the business, building different brands, it's like understanding the point of view they're trying to convey, understanding what is the value you're trying to give. Perfect example of that is, let me ask you a question. How many denim brands are there in the world? If you think are out there in the world?
More than I think.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
There's thousands of denim brands. So all of these denim brands actually exist. They generate revenue, but it's the point of view on the denim that makes it different. That is the value proposition. There's a reason why a pair of Old Navy jeans is a different price than a pair of, let's say, Gucci jeans, because it's the point of view. They're doing the same exact thing, but it's the point of view. So yes, budgeting is important, but it's understanding what is the value you're trying to bring, what is the point of view on your business and on your product as well.
I would say definitely that's gotta be the first step, and then, yeah, working your way to that budgeting. Yeah, what are people gonna pay for it, right? Doing research on what people are paying for similar products right now. Hopefully there's no similar product, right? But if there are, how do you manage that? What's it gonna cost you? And once you get to that point where you have this good idea, this idea that you believe in this model, lots of people will leverage skills of people that believe in it, right? So maybe somebody that, if you have an app idea, maybe somebody that is skilled in that area who can sort of either, help you directly or point you in the direction of good resources. So like you were, no, Mike Kelly was actually saying, there are mentors all around, and I think that there are sometimes peer mentors as well, because, the peers have different skill sets and a different perspective in general. So, if you talk to as many people as possible, you'll get a lot of good ideas.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Something that skipped over before the slide, I want to mention in terms of some of the guidelines for the innovation challenge. But the teams can be up to six students. So you can think about who would you want in your group as well. What type of other students do you want to collaborate with? The competitors should be able to answer the questions from the alumni, the faculty, and the professionals. Like, we'll be thinking about the final. Like, what does your business model look like? Does it solve the problem that you're trying to achieve? Being able, this is good practice for everyone here, just to really vet your idea, to understand critical thinking skills, some of the skills that you need in your professional career as well. And entries will be submitted by student teams. The submission, individuals can also be a one-person team as well if you want to take on that challenge. Again, sometimes working in groups is better. Sometimes you know yourself better. Sometimes you work better by yourself.
You may have an idea, and sometimes you're looking for other people to join you. We can help with that too, because we hope to generate, a good list of students who are interested in projects. And so it could be your idea, it could be somebody else's idea. So don't let any of that stop you. Right.
MBA students too, right?
Yes, the MBA students are allowed as well.
Moving on. I think that is it. We went over the important dates. We can send you this information as well. Does anyone have any questions? No questions?
A couple of you have some business ideas, I hear. That's good. We can help you work on that.
Anything else you want to add, Winston?
No, I think I'm just excited you're here, and this is a great opportunity. It's something that students do in addition to their classes, so it is amazing. Professor Sanseverino talked about that this is something that takes a lot of motivation, but we have seen great student teams. We have at least two of them are, Laurent Span is one who's certainly keeping his entrepreneurship going. We have the winners from last year's competition are an ongoing business. We've had some successful student teams just in the last 3 years. So really look forward to working with you. And I'm glad have to stop by today.
I think one thing to keep in mind is that at a minimum, it's going to give you something to talk about
Yeah.
when you go to interview for a job. Talk about I was in this club and I was in that club, but Caroline and I have been talking a lot about her business and when you're interviewing somebody for a position, you want someone that looks like they, with the right training and direction, can get off the ground by themselves and get going. And that's what I think would be helpful to you from this. And clearly understanding budgeting, your question, and the process that Professor was laying out. That budgeting process is a very hard thing for business people to understand. So I think just by participating in this program, you'll get good exposure that'll help you even on the job interview process.
And beyond, right? Because, I mean, it's not enough to go get hired, sit in your cubicle quietly and just, I mean, if you want to sort of move up and be successful, more and more and more, it's about those skills that entrepreneurs a lot of the time have, that creative mindset, that willingness to sort of step up and be the person who's thinking differently than others are coming up with new ideas. So it's, best case scenario, you have a business. Worst case scenario, you're setting yourself up for more success.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody signed in, right? Let us know who you are. Okay. And Entrepreneurship Club, by all means, get the word out if you are. You have upcoming things going on. See you again.
See you Thursday tomorrow, right?
Class.
Yeah.
I can sign it.
You can just email Arthur and MC, let them know that you attended.
All right,
What's your
thank
name?
you. Guadalupe?